That brings us now to the citizens' comments. And we're aware that many of you are here over the library, some information that came out about the library. Is there anyone here not about the library who would like to speak to council tonight? Hearing and seeing none. I'm going to tell all of you a little something, and then if we still need to talk about it, we can. The situation over the library is a contract situation, so it's a business situation. The city of Omak is not in a situation currently to close the library. The library is a private business. And so these contract provisions that we're working through, we intend to work through with people who've been really good partners for us. And so as we speak, the library is not closing because of the city of Omak. If that were a private business decision, that would be different, but I don't anticipate that. I anticipate the services of the library are going to continue as they've been done for a long time now. Does anybody have any questions other than that? Okay, come to the front, please. And to let you know, we don't need to hear repetitive information, so please pay attention to what people are saying, because this really clearly is a business decision and not a community thing. So go ahead.
Well, my understanding, my name is Steve Kelly. My understanding was that I heard through the librarians that you had informed them that the library would be closed in March if you could break the lease that you have with them.
It's a little bit of information that went askew. So in contract negotiations, it's really important for us, and we have finally found the one person that we need to speak to, and we are in communication with that person. And so again, that is just not accurate information. The city is not in a position to close the library.
So the library is not closing in March. Okay.
The city of Omak many years ago, the residents chose not to be a part of the taxing district. They're not a part of the library district. And so leadership long ago decided out of the current expense budget that they would create a contract agreement to have that relationship exist. Private business, North Central Regional Library, and Omak, City of Omak is the owner of the
We're not a private business. You need to stop saying that. We're not a private business.
Okay, for the purpose of this, we're entering into a contractual agreement, we hope. So that's how this works. It's not in a position to be closed. The city is not closing the library. Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Angie Morgan. I'm a concerned citizen. Some of the highlights, I wrote something out, but I actually pulled the county budget, the city budget, and the library's budget today or over the weekend. And I was told that in the 80s, it went to a contractual agreement. So I wanted to make sure I understood that correctly. And that you guys choose to use a portion of your general budget, because if you look up all the taxpayers in Omak, the city of Omak, they do not pay a library tax. So I wanted to completely understand that. And the library explained to me that that you guys get billed or will be billed for 2025, I think it's 115,000. So that's what you take from your general taxes and you pay to the library, because that's a contractual agreement, and that it could be broken because you were not annexed. I understand that if you do decide to break that, which you could, you would be breaking the services contract. So that library could not remain there, as has been mentioned. And so we would probably have to look at annexing. Just the entire county parcels of money that's spent towards the library is $1,767,000. So just the street that I live on alone pays $1,511, and just the people that live on the street I live on, because I live out of the area. I know that you guys probably want to send that money somewhere else or use it somewhere else. Maybe I don't know what the reasoning is. I would like to know why you were even thinking about canceling the contract. I feel we should get that answer. So I have a lot more to say, but I think they've said a lot of it. It is vital. It's been there many years. Probably, I don't even know. Libraries alone, 1853. So if you want to go to the first library, I think you're going to have a fight on your hands if you want to get rid of it.
Well, I think therein lies the issue. I don't think we're here to close a library. If we were going to simply close the library as a matter of business, we wouldn't be trying to negotiate the things that we think are good for this community. So you may or may not be aware, there have been some things in the city. I'm thrilled to see all of you here who are super excited about the library. I like the library. I used it as a kid growing up rurally. We know that there are people here, but we hear a lot from people who are afraid to take their children in. They don't think their children should go alone when they go to the library. So those are the things we were hearing ahead of time. And so we're in a position to try and make certain that for the whole, that is a really good thing. We actually have a good working relationship with the local people. And as I said previously, we have finally gotten to the one person that we need to speak to about some provisions that we are curious about. And to actually just air them in a contract negotiation isn't good business sense. They're not serious, and we're not here to close down the library. The money is not waiting for us to turn it into something else. It's in the budget designated to the library. So I don't want anybody here to think that we're all sitting here waiting for an opportunity to hatch at the library. That's inaccurate. That is not how this works. And so we'll engage in further conversation. I am positive we're going to be able to find some common ground. I'm further very excited that they're getting the funding. They're getting grants and some personal loans to do the project. We're supportive of that. We're not here to do away with the library. And so I know that you're all very passionate. And again, we're very excited to see people who are passionate about something, happy about something, glad that something is here. Because too often we hear from the other side. People are so unhappy and what it looks like and how it should be run. So thank you for coming here. And it's okay, that you may not think like us, but I think if we were really going to just cut this whole thing down, you probably do, because we want it to stay there too. We couldn't afford to run a library out of our own funds. It's a relationship that has been good for us. It's been good for the community for many, many years. So I'm not opposed. I can't remember who just said to do the taxation thing, put it out for a vote. I don't know what would happen about that. That might be a good idea. I don't know. But right now, all it is trying to get some specific pieces of a contractual agreement so that we can all get on the same page. No pun, because it's a library, because we're very excited to have it. So we're not here to do away with the library tonight. We're not here to do away with the library by June 1st or May 1st. Yes. Our meetings are monthly. We started this conversation back in March. And so we'd sent the initial letter, the communication in September. But sometimes, there's a lot going on in the library. There are a lot of things going on. They have a lot of these other projects. OMAC's not the only one getting renovated. And so it did come to December when the person we need to talk to finally got back to us. And that's okay. It happens. And there was a request to go to March 1st. It was extended to the end of March because it's the end of a quarter. And then again, there was a request to have it go for a year. We're going to have this whole thing settled before a year. And again, we're not.
Again, how will these people know? How will all of us know the progress that you're making
It'll be an item on the agenda when the contract itself comes into play.
on the city
And
agenda?
probably a news story.
Okay,
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
suspect. Yeah.
thank you.
Well, let me try and we'll see if it comes up for you. So the question is, what are the specific provisions we're looking at? This is a contract negotiation. And so those specific things are for the good, what we believe will be for the good of the community, and there's a fiscal responsibility. So there's that part. What part does the community play in this? The city we own the building. We're not in the position of shutting down library services. To shut down library services, it would take North Central Regional Library to do that. I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think they want to do that. If you have questions about the business model, they actually have had some really good meetings about their plans that are going to go into the renovation. So you could ask the local librarians or the local staff about that, or you could reach out to North Central Regional Library and speak to people in an executive capacity if you had further questions about their business model. So did I answer those?
Sort of. Because my next question was going to be, are there some constructive things that the public can do to make a case for supporting our library and getting to deal with the safety issues? What can we do?
I think
Yeah.
communication just with the library staff, because these are actually relatively small things in the contract provisions. Again, I think we're going to move through them. I think this will be a non-issue. I believe that from where I sit, the renovations will be done, the funding will happen, unless something happens with funding, of course. And so I don't know that there's anything right now. I think a show of support would mean worlds to the executive people at the library. I think that's a really good thing. Being here, being supportive of the library, I think that's really good. Being here before council, it's a good thing. Again, it's nice to know what people are supporting and not just the things, that are not.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And while you're coming up, I will address that. Go ahead and come up. OMAC is kind of unique because the other small libraries, the other small rural libraries are within that taxing district. And so it was in the 80s, early 80s, that decision was made by the voters at the time. And it might have been not very good information that predates me. But it could be time to do that again. So yeah, and you're right. People are in force. So thank you.
I'd like to echo Betsy's appreciation for all the work that you do for the city. It's great. I am not a person who needs to hang out in the park to use the internet, except when I have to have a very important meeting for the TV district for Okanagan County, and my internet way out rural is down. And then I come and park by the swing set to use my laptop so that I can conduct the business of the county via that service. So if we do have to shut that off because it is a safety issue that might be in the contract, then let us think of another way to do it. Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you.
And I live here in town, and I did want to echo what some other people have been saying, adding on that your sidestepping of answering what is specifically being looked for in the contract does, at least for me, make me feel disrespected by the council, as if I don't have the right to know what my tax dollars are going into and what my city is doing. Because I feel like we're not asking for some confidential business agreement. We're asking, what are you asking from the library? What is the library asking from you? I feel like it seems pretty simple. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, it's Max again. Thank you for your patience and for listening to all of us tonight. I wanted to join in what the previous speaker was saying with a couple of things. The NCW Library is not North Central Regional, they changed their name, is not a traditional for-profit business. It's a public intercounty special purpose library district, a governmental entity funded primarily by property taxes in Washington State, providing essential community services, not aiming for profit. While it generates revenue and manages budgets, its purpose is public service, functioning similarly to a nonprofit, but as a government unit. So it's not a business transaction. Also, whatever you are negotiating will not change the price of the contract, and it doesn't change the nature of the contract. All you could be negotiating, since they charge what the annexation price would be, all you could be negotiating is either shutting it down or keeping it open. So whatever you are not telling us, the ramifications of it are still losing the library.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Put it out on Facebook and look what Facebook says. So I just want clarification on who owns the building of the public library, who owns the property under it, and who owns the park,
The city of Omak.
owns the building as well. Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
My name is Jamie Nyberg. I'll keep this really short. If anybody on Zoom is in the Colville Confederated Tribes or anybody in this room has sway, I'd like you all to call and ask the Colville Confederated Tribes to bring back day labor. I met with a woman in Spokane, Washington. She does the American Indian Center. You guys can call her tomorrow. She said in South Dakota, they brought day labor in, and the homeless, the addicts, the safety issues went down by 50 to 100%.
Crystal Todd. I'm from the Colville tribe. Heard that you guys was wanting to shut the library down. My son told me tonight. Came here to support my son. He's back in the back room, him and his friends. They're from the Mac High School. They find it a concern. I was like, well, what's the issue? And my son's like, I don't know. We're going to go find out. I said, well, what's your argument? He says, I don't got one. And I was like, okay. So I was like, I'll be down after I get done mopping and sweeping. He's like, okay. So I showed up late, so I don't really know the gist of everything. But I was thinking probably they're really concerned about the homeless people that are out in the front of the building. Am I not right?
We've heard that. That is some of the things we'd heard previously from other
Okay.
groups.
So I was just wondering, if any of you have ever gone down and talked to any of those people down there ever and had a conversation with any of them,
The people who
are in the front of the building that stay there and sleep there and that are like a nuisance or whatever. I don't know what they are, but just
I
wondering.
haven't personally.
I was just wondering because to me, I was like, I bet they want to shut it down because of all the people that are sitting, sleeping on the sidewalk. That was my only guess. And so I was just like, I wonder if anybody ever went down there to talk to them and ask them if there was any other alternative where they can go. Really, there's not. I mean, there's so many tragic stories out there. I don't know if you guys have ever been down there. I've been down there a couple times just to give them some food. And it's terrible how we don't take care of our community. There's so many, like the city of Spokane, they have homeless shelters for people to go to. How come we don't have something that they can go to so it takes away from that library area? That's all I was thinking.
Thank you.
Is we have a serious issue with drinking and driving in our county, and the multitude of DOIs that have been caught, I am happy for, but we have had so many tragedies with just not only with underage drinking, but just people over the age of 21 being stupid and getting behind the wheel. And my question is talking to a lot of my friends and younger people in the community, I heard with the last big accident that happened is police did show up to the party and disbanded, but my friend Norma Laurie told one of the police officers, hey, there are people here that are drunk and cannot drive home. And the police officer told her that it is your problem. So I want to ask the lieutenant, what are you going to do to stop these things from happening? And what are you going to do with just not the Omak Police Department? And I know that the Okanagan County Sheriffs are not your department, but what are we going to do as a community to put a stop to this? Because I'm sick of seeing people dying of not just the actions by their own hands, but everybody else's hands that are getting behind the wheel and drinking and driving. And necessarily not just drinking and driving behind the wheel, but NOS. It's nitrogen, and people use NOS to put in their cars to make it go real fast. I know what NOS is. I used to work at Oxart down in Okanagan, and I used to sell it once in a while. And the big concern is that at the new vape shop, they're just selling it willy-nilly to where anybody can buy it. They're whippets. If you even people who know Jeremiah McCoy that spoke posted up on his Facebook saying, what are these used for? They give you an insanely head high and people get behind the wheel and drive with them. I'm from Southern California, San Diego, like I said, where not only we had the issues with the libraries, but we had a big issue with people using the NOS and getting behind the wheel and causing accidents as well. And also too, going back to the public library, like I said, I want to remind everybody, regardless of your political views and who you are as a person, the library is very, very important to all of you. And all of you should be very, very upset that your library is privatized. Because when companies are private, they can do whatever they want. They can take books from you. They can take movies. They can take all kinds of literature, audiobooks, history, artifacts, and change it into a way that they want you to think of the way that it happened. And it is very important as a community that we stick up together and say, hey, regardless of your political affiliation or whatever, this is very important to have because it sells not just your literature, but also your other political opponent's literature too, which I tell everybody that you should read, regardless if you believe in it. Okay. Yeah, if they're saying it's private, I'm just going by what they're saying. Yeah. Okay, well, if it's misleading, like I even did too, I did go look to see what the OMAC property, what our taxes go to for our property taxes. One of the big one is education for our schools. And then I think the 6 down the row, it shows public library. And I do believe that our taxes are going towards this public library. So if our taxes are, why is it privatized? Maybe because it's in the building that we're paying for it? I don't know, but still. If it's being taken, I would assume that it is for the library. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. I don't understand why people see the homeless as a safety problem. I've been there, and every time I've been to the library, the homeless are really sweet. They respect the library. Every time I've been there, they don't bother me, you know? And I think we really ought to stop judging books by their covers. Yes, library pun. But even I myself have judged people based off their covers, and I immediately regret it. So I think we ought to just stop judging the homeless people based off of their covers and saying, oh, they're like dangerous and stuff. It's like, yeah, you should be cautious, but don't immediately go, oh, well, they're dangerous. Because, you know, it's just, they're people too. They have problems in their life that they have to deal with, and whatever happened in their life caused them to be homeless, or maybe they lost their job and then they lost their home and that's why they're homeless. You know, we should show them pity and not just immediately qualify them as dangerous like pit bulls. People always say pit bulls are dangerous and should be muzzled, and they're not. It's usually just either the owner or just, well, I mean, not saying homeless people have owners, but it's the way they lived. You know, it's not their fault half the time that they're homeless. I don't think they're such a safety issue because they're always nice to me. So, and another thing I wanted to say is, well, because I did write something, but I'm not reading that whole thing. But one of my favorite lines in what I wrote was, we have freedom of speech, right? So I think we should have freedom to learn, to read, and to write. So, thank you. I want to thank everyone who contributed tonight. I know it's hard for several of you who had come up and speak because it can be hard to speak in front of a group. So I appreciate that. What you said has been heard. Again, I believe this whole thing will be put to rest by the end of March, which was the additional request for time or time that we had given. I don't expect the library to close. We're not here as an entity to try and close the library. It's a meeting of the minds. And so stay tuned, and I'm certain that we'll have that contract in place. So thank you.